Somebody will notice.
It makes me think of the movie Help.
The opinions that you may hear us express, expressly or otherwise, over the public's airways, is in no way to represent the opinions expressed or otherwise by our management, producers, sponsors, or various members of their staffs or their families or few friends.
Nor should these views express the opinions of the broadcasters, the disc jockeys, the salesmen, the program and music directors, and their secretaries and girlfriends and wives and their staff.
Unless, of course, we are willing to assume that we can assume the responsibility that their opinions will not influence anyone else's opinions.
Or their family and friends.
And staff.
And welcome again to another great day, Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX.
There we go.
Oh,
Yes.
X. See, we got the X in there, too. So.
Yes, it's John and Gordy for a Friday morning, live and local from Mad City in the State Street studios. Sam is collecting our thoughts and producing the show, and John is in the Middleton studios, and I'm in the Baraboo studios. We've got it covered for you this morning. Happy Friday, John.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I'm really happy.
So I can tell. Yeah, you look happy.
We're definitely going to have to try to name the buildings so more people can identify it. I like the tri-corner complex of some sort, but we better name somewhere along the way.
The 202 State Building. It does need a good name, doesn't it? Maybe it has a name we don't know.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, it's been here a long, long time. It's an ancient old building. We're part of history here, and we have these interesting three corners down there, and I'm thinking maybe if we could integrate that, the tri-corner thing, like a tri-corner hat,
Yeah, just like a tri-corner hat.
Like that.
Yeah, Dayton, State Street, and Fairfield? Fairchild, yeah. That's what it is. Well, it's it's balmy outside. I stepped out on the patio back, in the back here, and it's really nice out. It's clear. It's 45 degrees, and highs today should get into the mid-50s, and then we're in for some rain tomorrow and maybe a little rain-snow mix, but it looks like mainly rain tomorrow for Saturday, and then it gets cold again by Sunday. So enjoy the weather today because it's going to turn to crap over the weekend.
Well, it's not going to be awful or anything. It's, just in the mid to upper 30s, which isn't really bad. I mean, this is fantastic weather so far.
For this time of year.
Kind of spoiling you, yeah. I mean, next Friday they predict like 42 degrees, 41 degrees.
Right.
So it's, it's not getting... where are these cold waves from Canada? We usually get those things, right?
And the polar vortex.
Yeah, the vortex.
Yeah. Well, that would be a good question for Gary Canalti. He's retiring. He announced this yesterday over on Channel 3. Gary and I started at the same time in the weather business. I was at 15. He was at Channel 3. We've started virtually, the same month, I think. Way back about 1991-ish, somewhere in there, doing weather. And so he's been at the station there for a long time, but he announced his retirement yesterday. So we got to see if we can get him on the show. Wouldn't that be great?
Well, I hope so.
You know Gary, right?
I do know Gary.
Everybody knows Gary.
Gary's a really good friend. So
Gary gets around. Gary goes to the Wrigley Field. Gary, you see him hobnobbing out. Gary's a go-getter. That's Gary guy.
Yeah, but it's sad. A lot of handkerchiefs came out when he noticed that, and we were all just devastated. So.
Yeah, everybody was crying on the set yesterday when he announced his retirement. It's
you get used to seeing one person on the screen giving you the weather, the bad news, the good news. All those times to remember that he was being honest with you.
Yeah. He was holding your hand, as you went through tornadoes together and blizzards and everything else.
You huddled away in the basement during tornado warnings, and you were listening very, very closely and intently to Canalti's updates.
Yes. So on behalf of John and Gordy, we wish him all the best, and you can come on over anytime, and we'd love to have you on the air, Gary.
Well, a lot of people are saying he's abandoning everyone.
Yeah, he's bailing out, when we need him the most with climate change and everything. It's it's a shame to see that
so now's
happen.
the time that he has to pick the leave. Is something wrong here? There's something else going on.
You think so? There's something more to that story?
Scenes. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, maybe, he had a little rivalry with one of the other weather people, or maybe with, Mark Kane. Who knows? I've worked in TV newsrooms. I know what it's like. There's a lot of backstabbing going on. A lot of competition.
And I hear at WISC, they have kind of a deep state going there.
Do they really?
A lot of employees have been there a long time, and the deep state is getting deeper and deeper. So that's why they pushed Neil Heinen out. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, we that's a good point. I didn't realize Neil Heinen really got pushed out, edged out there over at Channel 3. We should get him in. You used to work with him all the time. What's he doing now? I mean, he's just sitting there, collecting his pension. I don't know.
There might be a story there, too, because, we had a very, very popular show at WIBA-FM.
Yeah.
It's called The Family Show.
Sure.
It wasn't really about families, but, we made it up. And then we had cakes, and we celebrated, and then he departed. He went to become the news director at, WISC.
Yeah.
And then I never heard from him again. All of a sudden, he just kind of went his separate way.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
so
he disconnected from you, and he didn't want anything to do with you anymore after working with you a couple of years. And I get that feeling, I understand that, but it only took me 30 years to come back, and we got this thing back together again. So I feel for Neil, and maybe the time has come for him.
We're building up a lot of trust, though, now, working back together again. Just kind of repair all the fences that we broke. I don't know.
Yeah, there's
mending
still
the fences.
Mending the fence. There's still some more mending to do. We got got some baling twine. We've got some barbed wire. We got to keep mending those fences.
That's right.
That's what we've been doing. Okay.
But,
it's National Brownie Day. Get this.
Wow.
We are celebrating
at work. You're in a brown nosing in management. Is that National Brownie Day?
That's kind of.
Is that who we're talking about?
Not exactly, but you could take it as that, I guess.
Why not? Right.
No, we're talking about brownies. The little cake devices. Yes. Sometimes they have walnuts in them. Sometimes they don't. Brownie lovers across the nation enjoy their favorite baked goods on
National. I was
National
thinking
Brownie Day.
I was thinking pot. I don't know. You brought up walnuts,
course you were.
But sure, that's like a 50s thing.
Well,
pot
listen,
is the more current ingredient in brownies.
You could make some special brownies. Just don't let the kids get into them. Put them somewhere safe. Lock them up in your safe, and don't let anybody that shouldn't have them have them. You could have edible National Brownie Day, I suppose. Yeah, it's almost legal. So it's also National Salesperson's Day. So a big salute to all the civic media salespeople working all across Wisconsin. I have my civic media T-shirt on today, John. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Oh, yes.
But it's got all the civic media radio stations pointed out on here. And,
is that the one you bought? I don't remember. Yeah,
I purchased. You can get it online. You can get it on our website. If you go to Civic Media, if you go to the app, you can find merchandise on there. They've got all kinds of T-shirts on. We're still working on the John and Gordy T-shirt. That's in production. We've got several different artists and graphic designers, a whole team of people trying to come up with something.
There's a whole new way of doing this, Gordy. And
is there?
I was reminded of it, and it's true. We can actually send our logo, set it up at some online printer. And all they do is all you have to do is order it, and they'll print it up fresh for you. And
print on demand.
So we don't have to have boxes and boxes of T-shirts that never sell, that pile up in our closets.
Yeah,
now
like
it's just on demand. You just order it, and it'll be there. And I think we should try that.
Print on demand. I like it. Yeah, I like the good idea. It's we got to work on that. We can do that over the weekend, perhaps. So we'll try to come up with something.
Do we need an okay for management on that?
No, that's not.
We don't independently do that too.
Just do it. Do it first. Ask for permission later. Forgiveness.
Yes.
What is it? And don't ask for permission in advance. Ask for forgiveness later. Yeah,
I like that. I never.
That's the way we work. That's the way we've always worked, and that's why we've been out of work at times.
We've been asked to leave a number of times. So.
Yeah, well, think of it. Today is Friday, so it's early in the day. You never know.
We're working on it right now. So.
Yeah, we did. We always think about the one particular time that we knew we were going to get called in. And,
Triple M.
Well, okay.
Triple M was just
put it right out out there. We saw the management walking in, and we said, "Boy, they don't look happy.
Wrong.
Something's wrong." And sure enough, that day we got canned.
We did
right after the show. It's like we need to see you guys for a minute. Can you stop in? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, we're going in a different direction. Oh, okay. I didn't know we had a direction to begin with, but now we're going in a different direction?
Yeah, their different direction was hiring another guy named John for the morning show. That was their different direction.
Okay.
So
all right. Yeah.
It was mostly an inside thing, consultants telling us what to do, what they think we should do, and, stuff like
pulling
that.
the rug out from under us.
It's never good.
That kind of thing. But, we're over it. It's not like we have to bring this up a lot. We've let go of that. It's in the deep past.
Mark it down. We've brought it up for the first time, and it won't be the last. The thing is, they have these anniversaries over at Triple M, and they never invite us over because we were responsible for the format being there in the first place.
Yeah.
It jumped from Sun Prairie's WMAD to Triple M. And it was my fault.
It was your fault.
I helped.
Well, and you're right. They had a big celebration a couple of years ago, and I was trying to get a hold of somebody over there and say, hey, we used to work there. Yeah, they didn't return my phone calls or emails or anything. So it was like, well, I guess we're not in the scrapbook either. So
time marches on, John and Gordy. Go away.
We let it go a long time ago, but. Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Okay.
No resentment. We're not angry
not
or
at
still
all.
feeling hurt about it. So that's why we're bringing it up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, we're off to a flying start here at 19 minutes past the hour. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Start the stopwatch.
I think I could go on like this forever.
Triple M.
What do they say? Burning bridges, is that the word?
Yes.
Just keep burning them.
We didn't burn any bridges there. Not too
much.
Well,
management's not there anymore, that hired us in the first place and took the format, by the way, imaginative enough to take that format. Take my idea and run with it. That's fantastic.
And it's still there.
It is. It's doing rather well.
And Kitty's still there.
Kitty's wonderful. Yeah,
she is.
She's great.
We love you, Kitty.
Yeah.
You're listening in the back room here. This is a back room portion of our show where you can kind of listen to us plan what we're doing along the way here today.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We don't hide anything.
We've got a lot of stuff to get to, man. What do you want to...
oh, we do.
What are we going to tee up with?
Oh, boy, oh, boy. Mad Radio, 92.7 and 1580 AM in Madison, the capital city.
Live and local, baby. 20 minutes after the hour.
Feel like you could text us anytime you want. Our number is 608 What is it? I
Eight-
can't remember.
608.
Can't remember what it is. I'm just trying to.
It's right at the bottom of the screen there, John. It's crawling by right now.
Oh, yeah,
608
there it is.
879-8255.
Yeah, we took care of that.
608-879-TALK. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on X, and live right here at WMDX Mad Radio. Yes.
All right. Yeah. Here's a little interesting note. I thought rather. I think something we should all think about. And Washington is not alarmed as Hitler rises to power. This was 90 years ago. Michael Benchloff, who was, a historian, he posted this tweet, and it's, again, Washington not alarmed as Hitler rises in power. And it's the anniversary, 90 years ago, that was the headline. We weren't worried about him at all. So
No.
a little history lesson here.
Yeah, I've got the headline right here for those of you watching.
There it is.
On Facebook or YouTube. There. Yeah, it's hard to believe. 90 years ago. Wow. And the second headline, varying views pour in from world capitals. Budapest calls it a victory, downright revolution. Rome sees fascism vindicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so much for that, right?
God.
That didn't work out. All right, let's get to...
and yesterday was Pearl Harbor Day for us, too. So it's, a day. I don't know about your father, John. Was your dad in the Army or in
he was a
military
Marine.
at all?
World War II, yeah.
Yeah, my dad was in the Army Air Force. They kind of, before the Air Force split off into a separate, unit, I guess. He was stationed in Panama, and he was there during the war. Not a lot of action in Panama, but they were keeping the Panama Canal, safe and away from the enemy. Where was your dad during World War II?
Long story.
Okay,
but he was shot and came back to the States, so and survived. It was a difficult situation. So, it's the war thing is just something I try to block out. I have a hard time. I have a hard time with all that.
You're not alone. I mean, and this was the thing when I talked to my dad about. Those guys did not want. There were not a lot of people that were involved in World War II. As servicemen and servicewomen, that most of them didn't want to talk about it afterwards. They didn't. It's not like they would sit around and tell war stories. Of course, they would do that occasionally, but most of the time, they really didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, he never talked about it with me, so that's why I really can't fill you in. And the bizarre thing was that my wife's brother interviewed my dad, and he just told him the whole history, explained everything to him.
Yeah,
and he recorded it. He's got it, and I've never heard it to this day. But my dad opened up to my wife's brother, but not me. Never told me anything, and we kind of had the outs at the end there. Sadly, I tried to soften the blow, later, right at the end, but he was just angry with life, basically. So
that's sad. But my dad was a major by the time he got out of the Army, and he really didn't talk about it much either. But when Vietnam happened and I was draft age, we had to talk. I mean, he was all gung ho at the beginning of that war, but by the middle and end of it, he was like, you know what, this is a hard decision for you if you get drafted. You want to talk about it. I'm willing to listen to what you have to say.
Like moving up to Canada or something like that.
Well, he was implying that, but thankfully my number didn't come up the last 2 years of the draft. They had that lottery system the last
lottery
2 or 3
system
years.
based on birthdays.
Yeah. Anyway.
And I lucked out on that.
Yeah.
So
same here.
Because I was up for the draft. Definitely.
Yeah. Same here. Anyway.
Did you went in, right? I mean, to register. right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I had a draft card and everything. You had to get that, when you turned 18.
Was that kind of a weird, bizarre situation with all these guys at the same time showing up at the same place?
Now, that didn't happen to me. I just had to go somewhere and fill out the form, and it was just, when you turn 18, you go to the post office or somewhere, fill out a form and turn it in. So I never got into any situation where I was there with a lot of other guys that were getting drafted, or it didn't get that far.
Yeah.
So,
and it was very uncomfortable.
But you had that, right?
I did. It was just scary as hell. It really was not the way to introduce yourself to the draft,
Did they give the physical and everyking?
Yeah,
Did you do all that?
It was a physical thing, yeah. A lot of guys without clothes on, just very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
people forget about the draft, because they ended the draft and it was all volunteer, after that, after they ended it, and has been the same way since.
Very scary to have a draft. Mm-hmm. So I would never recommend it. And when they start talking about it, it's like, don't bring it up,
Yeah.
Or at least oppose it. Do not consider a draft ever again. I don't think this country will probably ever do that anyway. Conscription. I think that's what they call it.
That's what they call it. And I don't think they actually need to do it. Now there's plenty of people that volunteer and want to join up. So hopefully we'll never have to go back to a draft. So 627. If you'd like to jump in with a comment, you can text us at 608-879-8255. You can send us a text on the email or in the Civic Radio app. That's easy to do as well, or just give us a call.
Oh, yeah. We've got something coming up in just a few moments. It's going to be a little cut from Lewis Black. He does a lot of commentary, comedy bits on The Daily Show. And this time he had a little bit on Bobert's activities at the play. So,
that's right. At the, what was it?
Yeah,
the Beetlejuice play,
Beetlejuice play,
Yes.
So,
that's coming back again?
Yeah, well, he brought it up, and I thought it was fairly funny, so we'll play a little track from The Daily Show.
And John, we also have a new story about SpaceX. They've got some new things going on that just came to light in the last day or two down around the Arctic, and we'll have that story coming up. And also a little bit later on, a look at local entertainment going on around Madison. Do you know Pete Davidson was in town last night at the Orpheum? If any of you went to that show, we'd love to hear a review. You can give us a call on that. He's also at the Orpheum tonight. Pete Davidson from
2 shows.
SNL, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
One of my favorite comedians, current comedians. So, and a little bit later on, we'll talk about how clueless some of our Republican gerrymandered representatives are at the Capitol. Okay. All right?
6:29. We're coming back after a check of the news next.
I'm running out of coffee. What the heck? What the heck happened?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know your dad got shot.
Yeah.
It was I didn't
right away. It just got off the boats. They're rushing across the shoreline, and he got shot right away. So
where?
I don't know.
Honestly, boy, you got to get a hold of that tape if your brother-in-law has that. But it could be tough to listen to too. I get that.
One of his buddies, saved him. Like you could just keep rushing on. You could go,
right.
And it is just so weird how these things happen. That's why I have such a hard time dealing with seeing people shot on, in movies. People dying on movies because I'm thinking of the lineage. I mean, that person, could have families or start families, and we're cutting all these people out of the future just by knocking them off in a hallway someplace. John Wick. And there's population control right there. John Wick.
John Wick. I don't know. I'm not sure of that reference. What's that? Who's that?
It's a brutal series. It's like 4 movies.
I don't know that one.
Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of hard to describe.
Main guy is played by Keanu. I haven't watched it, but
Keanu Reeves,
played by Keanu Reeves, and like somebody either kidnaps or kills his dog, and he just goes like on a revenge rampage against people.
And it's actually a really good series. It's about a hotel that harbors killers, and people hire those killers from that hotel to go out and take care of business. And the funny part of these movies is that almost everybody is a hired killer.
Okay. That's the funny part? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny because, if there's you see people in all these restaurants get phone calls saying, here's the reward money. And everybody, almost everybody leaves. It's just hilarious.
So I'm going to do the SpaceX story, unless you want to start with something.
Let's do the SpaceX story.
And then okay. I have the music here. I have the theme ready to go. Yeah, here it is. Let me just check it.
X, the man with the...
Oh, I think it's the old one.
It's the old one.
It's not the revised one. Well, it's too late for me to change that. Shit. I thought I had the right one. But it'll do for now. I'll replace it over the...
Let's see what I have.
X, the man with the...
The new one has X right at the beginning.
I know. For some reason, we don't have that. Huh.
I think I sent it to Sam, too.
Did you?
Maybe. It would have been like 4 days ago. It said revised X. Maybe I have it. I don't know if I can get to it, though.
When you send it to me, I suppose I could go in there and pull it out.
Well, we probably don't have time now anyway. We got a couple of minutes.
Stories for Thursday. Daily rundown. Daily rundown planner. Tuberville.
I think it said revised right at the beginning, like revised X or Elon, revised Elon something.
Here it is. I got it. Now, let's see. I could cue it up.
Okay.
Go yourself. The man with...
Okay.
Good stuff.
Okay.
When should I hit it?
Well, I'll tell you.
All right.
I'll just say hit the music. People love that behind the scenes. They're listening right now. God, what's going on behind the scenes at John and Gordy?
Quite the plan.
By the way, I'm hoping, Rocker, you're listening. You can call in whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you got something after this, right, John?
Yeah.
All right.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's Decaffeinated Caffeine. For people who like feeling nervous and wide awake, but hate running to the bathroom all the time.
That's what we're drinking. Yes.
Mad Radio, WMDX, 92.7 FM and 1580 AM in Madison.
It's 45 degrees, clear skies this morning, a beautiful start to this Friday, and high today about 54. Rain on the way tomorrow with windy conditions, 42 for a high Saturday, and then it turns cold for Sunday, but really not awful, 32 degrees on Sunday.
All right.
And again, right now, 45. So, John, I saw this story. I thought you might be interested in this. SpaceX, that's Elon Musk, right?
Oh, yeah.
SpaceX.
Yeah.
His Starlink clears military tests in the Arctic, paving the way for contracts. Let's hit the X music theme for this story. John?
Go yourself. X, The man with the X eyes tries to help the most desperate in our society.
Yes. SpaceX.
Go yourself.
SpaceX Starlink satellite service
F1.
has successfully completed 9 months of military tests in the Arctic. What? This is just coming to light now.
Yeah.
These were
Go yourself.
these were secret tests going on. Nobody knew about this. Anyway, these were going on by the military in the Arctic, the SpaceX Starlink satellite service. They have tested this thing down in the Arctic, and we'll get to why they're doing that, but they're clearing the way for Elon Musk to deepen his ties with the Pentagon in a region of growing strategic competition. Now, the testing found the Starlink system that they have down there, they had to do these high-performance communication systems in the Arctic because it's so windy. They had to build special receivers in the Arctic, and nobody had done this before. But now they've been doing it, and they've been testing it. And these receivers can actually be moved and then put elsewhere in other places of the Arctic. Why are they doing all this? Well, there's competition between the U.S. and Russia and China to get into the Arctic because there, under the ice in the sea and down below, they have vast deposits of oil, natural gas, minerals like nickel, platinum, palladium. You know, I played the Palladium back in the day, back in Vegas, the beautiful theater.
Great theater.
And rare earth metals. Rare Earth, there's another great band from the 70s. They had a great hit, a couple of hits. Anyway, they have rare earth metals lying beneath the ocean floor. So get this. The Pentagon has teamed up with SpaceX, and they're estimating this is going to cost $175 billion.
Wow, nice contract.
$175 billion. Well, they're going to start selling some insider shares. And you know they're gonna collect this money, and then the X-Man, Elon, will be in business in the Arctic.
Maybe, just maybe, if Trump becomes president, maybe they can have a better sweetheart deal between Elon and Trump. I mean, Elon is helping out a lot.
Well, he's spending a lot of money, and he makes a lot of money, and it's interesting to me that he's really connected with the Pentagon now, and connected with our government in a way that nobody else has really been connected as just one person with so much power and money, and to be able to integrate that with his space systems. He's got satellites all over the place, and the Starlink thing, and of course he's got Tesla going on, and
the Starlink thing. I mean, he can withdraw the Starlink thing from countries, and put them at a disadvantage, like Ukraine, perhaps. So, that's kind of a uncomfortable combination between Elon and Trump, if that were to ever happen.
Well, yes, and with
anything can happen
with the military-industrial complex. I mean, he's got connections there as well. No matter who's president, there's a lot of money there. And he can collect money, and he can spend money, and he knows how to do these systems, and that's important to the Pentagon and for our national security. But you're right, he's also connected with other countries around the world,
right?
And so he can play that card whenever he needs to.
He was helping Ukraine, and then he didn't want to help him anymore. And that was a very bad situation.
Yeah, he can just decide to do that or not do that, and
we know how that would go if Trump were to become president. He wants to disconnect from the rest of the world, basically. He's not going to help anybody else out.
Nope.
Leave them out there on their own. And who knows, maybe Musk will go along with something like that.
Yes. Anyway.
Speaking of dictators, by the way, Ron DeSantis, he says he wants to persuade Republican voters that he's their last hope against an all too powerful state like Trump's that goes after their enemies and grabs more power. I mean, this is unbelievably ridiculous when you think about it. This is a quote from DeSantis. This federal government is out of control. we have seen the weaponization of agencies like the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the IRS. I'm going to end that weaponization. As we watch him weaponize the government in Florida, I mean, who does he think he's fooling with, I'm the last hope here because we know that Trump wants to be a dictator, not me. No, we're not going to weaponize. We're going to de-weaponize the government. Not happening. It's not going to happen.
That's not the track record that he has so far. Is that he's the dictator of Florida?
He is the dictator.
Dictator in training. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's weird,
isn't it? Yeah.
Trying to convince people that he is just the opposite. Very strange stuff.
It is. And there's another story that hit yesterday. Hunter Biden indicted on 9 tax charges in California. California. This is part of a special counsel investigation into the business dealings of Joe Biden's son, of course. And it's, let's see, the new charges include 3 felonies and 6 misdemeanors. And those are in addition to those federal firearms charges in Delaware. That Hunter Biden allegedly broke laws against drug users having guns in 2018. They come after the implosion of that plea deal. Remember, they had a deal. They went to the judge, and everybody was agreeing on this. Everybody had handshakes all around, prosecutor, defendant, and then the judge said, "Well, wait a second. This is there's something here I don't understand." And now. It's it's come to this. Now there's more charges happening.
Well, these are tax IRS charges. Okay,
right.
He didn't pay his taxes, and so they're charging him with it. He has, by the way, paid those taxes back.
Yes.
So it's just he's being penalized now.
Right, $1.4 million in taxes that he owed, and that was between 2016 and 2019, and he has paid those back. But now they're coming to get him on these firearms charges, and they want to get anything that they can because, of course, the Republicans want to impeach Joe Biden, and they want to have more stuff on their files to get him with.
The other strange thing is this gun charge. The gun charge stems from Hunter Biden's response of no on a federal form as part of the purchase of a handgun when asked whether he was an unlawful user of drugs.
Right.
And he said, no, such federal prosecutions are rare, but they're going after Hunter Biden on this, right? They never really prosecute on something like this. But they're going to do it. Officials at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives were skeptical of bringing charges against him, especially considering that he had sought treatment and had no prior criminal history. But, why not go after him? He's the president's son. Let's make a big deal about this. Another factor, by the way, that could complicate the government's case on going after him with that gun idea. Last year's Supreme Court ruling that gave people a broad right to carry firearms outside the home, that will play into it. Biden's lawyers have argued that recent lawsuits challenging federal regulations, including the drug use restriction, would render a prosecution of Hunter moot because basically they're saying if you look back in history, there is no history in regards to holding off, having a firearm because of guns. So you could be a drug user and still buy a firearm, according to the Supreme Court's latest decision.
Wow, that's I didn't realize that. But they're going to beat this drum as long as they can with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's brother and anybody else they can drag into this to try to get an impeachment going. At least get it out there, even if it doesn't pass through the House or anything. They're going to keep doing that and try to get Hunter Biden to appear before the committee and make a big deal out of that. Every part of this story they're going to make a big deal about until they can get somewhere with it.
It's like Hillary's emails. There was never anything there, but they just kept beating it because they knew if they just brought it up enough all the way up to the election, they could make some points and even possibly put Trump into the White House. Oh my gosh, that happened. I do want to. I want to keep on this track as far as gun laws.
Yes,
they are going to all go away based on the new standard found nowhere in the Constitution. It's something made up by our Supreme Court. The Federal Appeals Court struck down recently Maryland's licensing requirement for handgun owners Tuesday, passed in the wake of the deadly mass shooting of Sandy Hook. Believe this or not, this was a handgun law based on the Sandy Hook massacre, right? And they cited the 2022 landmark ruling by the Supreme Court's conservative majority in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, which effectively changed, it was a sea change for the Second Amendment. Maryland's handgun law failed to meet, and here it is, the historical test. Who came up with this idea, this historical test to interpret what the Constitution means or says? It's just crazy. This, by the way, this is new, what seems like an insane standard for the Republican activist majority justices. They say the gun control laws are only constitutional if a similar law was in effect at the founding of the nation.
Okay. Wow.
Talk about really stretching this thing out, right?
That's quite specific.
So you still think we don't need Supreme Court reform? They come up with these weird, odd standards now. And it's mind-boggling. You can't just make this stuff up. Well, here's our new standard. Oh, here's another new standard. Well, we're kind of tired of that standard. Let's move to this. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that. And by the way, the Constitution does not lay out the fact that the Supreme Court has any jurisdiction over the Congress and the laws they pass. It's a job that the Supreme Court took on all by themselves, and no one ever did anything about it. And so now it's just normal. It's normalized.
Well, and you're absolutely right about the Supreme Court. Where are the guardrails there? Where is the oversight by Congress? It just
they have oversight. It's in the Constitution.
They have it, but they don't do it.
Right.
They don't push the issue. They don't now of course the Supreme Court has come up with their own ethical standards, which again have no there's no support for those. There's nobody, there's no watchdog group that's saying, hey, you should take this one up, Supreme Court. I mean, it's a sham.
They don't have the ethical standards. They make up these rules about it has to be historically evident from the very beginning of our nation. All of these weird standards and plus, striking down laws that are passed by the Congress, by the people of this country, basically. And no one's saying anything about it. We really should have to say something about it, because look at what Trump is doing currently. He's stretching those standards. He's challenging them all. And because he's doing that, he's getting away with a lot. And we have never dealt with this before. And because we aren't going to deal with this gun thing about the history of gun laws, it's also going to loosen up the standards, and who knows what will happen after that.
Coming up, we've got stories about a Democrat running for U.S. Senate with an unbelievable ad. We've got that. And also Scott Walker comparing tattoos to sex change operations. Stay with us.
Wow.
Notice I'm not saying coming up next, just saying coming up.
Yeah.
So you can do whatever you got.
All right.
People are complaining that they hear us talking now. Listen, we're giving you the, back room stuff here, folks. If you're listening on Facebook or YouTube or X, you should feel honored and special that you get to hear this.
Do you have a speaker turned on?
No.
You're hearing a little echo, aren't you?
Not me.
I thought I did earlier. I'm not sure.
I heard it, and hello, it's me.
I did hear that.
Hello, it's
seconds.
me.
What did we do to get rid of that?
Mix minus? Is it that?
It's on already.
What's that?
We're coming back.
Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX, John and Gordy, broadcasting live from Madison.
Yes, live and local as we whistle past the cemetery. I think that's an old phrase.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be scared when you're walking past a cemetery late at night. So you whistle. Okay. 6:51.
I know, you whistle, people love that in music.
Yeah.
Whistle.
We're trying to bring whistling back. It's kind of faded away with all the modern technology. People don't whistle as much as they used to.
Yeah, I ran across this great comedy bit by Louis Black, who does performances on The Daily Show, and it's about Lauren Boebert, and why not? Why not just check it out? Why not?
Yeah.
But this year, everything was back. Schools, concerts, sports, theater. Live theater is so back, this happened.
Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert of Colorado, she was recently kicked out of a performance of Beetlejuice, the musical, for vaping and engaging in some R-rated groping with her date.
Yeah, Lauren Boebert was caught f***ing off a guy during Beetlejuice the musical. And you thought it was distracting when people unwrapped hard candy. If you're going to behave that way during a musical, at least do it during Les Mis. Talk about a play that needs a happy ending.
That's great.
Yeah, a little bit there.
I've seen Louis Black a couple of times in concert, and he's amazing.
He
so
really
funny.
is. Yeah, really dark. I love it. I love it. And speaking of dark, Speaker Mike Johnson sent out an email under the official GOP headers saying that America is depraved because more teenagers are identifying as LGBT.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is one of the craziest things, right? I mean, this guy is really worried about it. Apparently, that's why more teenagers are actually identifying themselves as LGBTQ. Because there is a question. The questionnaire was sent out, and they've added a couple of questions to the questionnaire where they were able to, kind of expose more of their personal feelings. And that's why more teenagers are turning up depraved. The CDC, their 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance System survey, it sounds scary as hell, changed its questions on sexual identity with 2 new options for students to describe their sexual identities. One of them, I am not sure about my sexual identity. That's one question. Another one, I describe my sexual identity in some other way. And that, again, is why it seems like more teenagers are depraved. And Mike Johnson doesn't know that. He didn't look into it. That's as we find out, a lot of people are in the closet. They're hiding. They're not going to tell people who they are, what they are. And now they're coming out, and more people are able to say who and what they are. And it's just, he doesn't like it. Do
you think he had any conversations with a higher power or anything as he was talking about this?
Maybe.
Did he? What was he thinking? How did he come to these conclusions? Who was he talking with?
Again,
really to prepare and be ready. Be ready for what? Okay, I don't know. We're coming to a Red Sea moment. What does that mean, Lord? And then when the speaker's race happened, and Kevin McCarthy, who's a dear friend of mine, was deposed, vacated from the chair. Oh, wow. Well, this is what the Lord may have been preparing us for. And so I started praying more about that. And then the Lord began to wake me up through this 3-week process we're in the middle of the night and to speak to me and to write things down, plans and procedures and ideas on how we could pull the conference together. Now, at the time, I assumed the Lord is going to choose a new Moses. And, thank you, the Lord. Lord, you're going to allow me to be Aaron to Moses. And so I worked to get Steve Scalise elected speaker. That didn't happen. And then Jim Jordan, who's like another big brother of mine. No, that didn't happen. And then Tom Emmer. And, ultimately 13 people ran for the post.
Maybe you weren't listening.
And the Lord kept telling me to wait. So I waited. And then at the end, when it came to the end, the Lord said, now, step forward.
Step
Me?
forward.
I'm supposed to be Aaron. No, the Lord said step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Were you standing on a curb in front of traffic? Or I see. Okay, a step forward.
It's so funny. Well, there was no one behind him, so step forward. You're the last choice.
You're the last choice. So it's up to you, buddy. Liz Cheney is no fan of Speaker Johnson, and she had something to say about Mike Johnson. It's actually in her new book, which I picked up a copy of.
No kidding.
For Christmas. Bought myself another Christmas present. I like to buy books for myself for Christmas. Here's what Liz Cheney had to say the other day on the Today Show about Mike Johnson.
Given what Mike Johnson did in and around the 2020 election, what is the risk in terms of him potentially still being Speaker of the House, him controlling the House of Representatives in the aftermath of the next election?
It's terrifying, and I say that with no pleasure. It pains me that that's where we are, but
you were friends with him.
I was. We were elected the same year. Our offices were next door to each other, and I believed Mike to be a man of principle. What I learned was that he was willing to do things he knew to be wrong in order to placate Donald Trump. And again, a situation where you have a Speaker of the House who, as you detailed at the beginning of the show, so clearly set aside what he knew to be the facts, what he knew to be the law, what he knew to be our obligations under the Constitution, in order to try to help Donald Trump in his efforts in 2020. We cannot count on a majority of Republicans, on someone like that, to do the right thing, to uphold the Constitution. If, for example, we had an election that was thrown into the House, if nobody got 270 electoral votes. So it's really serious.
Or if they needed to certify the electoral count?
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's Liz Cheney talking about Mike Johnson. And, like she said, she knows him well. She knew him well. She was good friends with him, got elected at the same time, had offices right next to him. And then after the insurrection, he kind of changed.
Yeah, putting him in charge would be crazy, absolutely nuts.
Yeah. That's going to wrap it up for this hour. News is next. We're back with more of John and Gordy after that. Stay with us.
We'll be right back to the action right after this message.
John and Gordy Show. John and Gordy in the morning. As we were saying, let the sun shine. It's the John and Gordy Show.
All right.
Somebody texted in with a story I think I heard about before. In Ohio, somebody at a Chipotle got mad at the fast food worker and threw a burrito bowl in the worker's face. So as her sentence, she got arrested and all that. As her sentence, I think she opted to be a fast food worker as the sentence.
Wow.
That's enough of a punishment right there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, we should. Do you have that story? You should just say that story, Sam, at some point. Right?
Yeah,
I think it'd be good.
There's a TV news story that I'm
getting a lesson in customer service herself.
Look at that. 39-year-old Rosemary Hain was originally sentenced to 6 months in jail after this video surfaced. She was upset with her order and threw it in the face of 17-year-old Emily Russell. But now the judge offered to give her 3 months in jail and work in a fast food restaurant for 20 hours a week for the remaining 3 months. We spoke to Emily today.
She hit me. I've never had a customer. I've got drinks thrown at me, I got food thrown at me, but I've always had that window. So it never was a problem in the drive-thru, but having that come in and just, her hitting me with the 200-degree food, it was really tough.
Emily just wants to thank everybody for their support. She's now working at a different restaurant. She thinks the sentence is fair and just wants her to experience what it's really like working in customer service.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
That's great.
All right, yeah, play. Yeah, you got to play that.
You want to play that clip?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
yes.
from WKYC.
KYC. WKYC. Where is
I'm
that?
not sure. It's in Ohio somewhere.
Okay, that's all we need.
KYC Channel 3.
I'm guessing it's in southern Ohio. Let me just say.
I just love that. Channel 3, Channel 27. You know, there are no channels.
There really aren't anymore.
No.
They don't relate to anything really except a technical thing at the transmitter.
That's right. Yeah. You spin the dial on the TV. You know.
WKYC TV, Ohio. Let's see. There's Cleveland. Oh, that's in Cleveland, Ohio. The Mistake by the Lake, Cleveland. You've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you guys? You got to go there sometime.
No.
Oh, man. It's worth it. It's great, actually.
All right.
You see all kinds of memorabilia. You know, they have a whole floor devoted to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and lots of their instruments, clothes they wore, different, keyboards, guitars, amplifiers they used, and, of course, tons of stories and video and music. It's really cool. And they have that, you go in, and you start in the basement and work your way up, 3 or 4 floors. So it starts in the basement with the roots of, rhythm and blues and blues music, and then early rock and roll. Elvis's, shiny jackets and stuff. I mean, you got all kinds of stuff in there, guitars. All right. What are we coming out with? You want to do that Scott Walker tattoos sex operation thing? Johnny?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you do what you want. I just
tattoo. Yep, tattoos. Got it.
Just wondering what you got. That train story. That's a good one. You got a lot of stuff still, right?
I think we got a lot of stuff.
You got a ton of stuff.
I want to get to the fake electors saying it's a brief note.
Sure.
There's nothing there. It's just a note. That's all.
And then Sam's story. Let's do that.
Yeah, right after that. Yeah.
Got it.
How do we lead into that exactly?
Well, let's talk fast food this morning. I'm kind of hungry this morning, aren't you, John?
I could talk fast food.
By the way, fast food. What's it like to be a fast food worker? I wonder. I often wonder that. I can't remember. I don't think I worked at any fast food restaurants. Sam, you?
Kind of. I worked in the kitchen of a bowling alley. That was my first job.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Good.
I worked in a drive-in theater. Oh, boy. You talk about low standards for cleanliness in a drive-in theater. Concession stand kind of with a grill.
How come I didn't know that? I mean, we did a whole show where we were at a concession stand at a drive-in.
Yes. That's right. The TV show, the Night Owl Theater show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Big Sky Theater. We were at the Big Sky Theater, and we, were worried about the plastic forks running out.
I forgot about that. Yeah. And we would have guests. We would have people stop by, like Stu Hoffensberger and whoever else. Whoever else was in the building at the time.
We could bring that up during this, after the story as well.
Okay, yeah, do your story.
Our own experiences.
Yeah, when you're done with that, just
the electors thing. I'll just drop that in, and then we'll go to the fast food stuff.
Yeah, just talk about it's.
I do have. I can lead into that. I got it.
Okay. All right.
Got it. 30 seconds.
All right.
Beautiful.
Good morning. Good morning. How's
Bad
the coffee?
radio. Oh, I just love it. And I heard you pouring it. It's
Yeah,
just
did you?
amazing. What a great sound effect that was. You were
Thank
actually
you.
pouring, weren't you?
I was. Yeah. Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX on this Friday morning, 7 minutes past the hour. Keeping you on time this morning. 608-879-8255.
Just a quick note on the fake electors in Wisconsin. You know, they settled their lawsuit. They can't be electors anymore. Oh, well, what a penalty. Anyway, I thought this was really interesting from Mary McCord out at Georgetown Law ICAP, and ICAP stands for Institute for Constitutional Advocacy and Protection. And they put this out. This is very interesting stuff. Wisconsin was really sort of ground zero for this scheme. The memos about this scheme, written by Kenneth Cheeseborough and James Trupis, started out talking about doing it in Wisconsin. And from Wisconsin, it spread to the other swing states. So we were the leader in all of that.
Yeah. And then Georgia and all these other, let's see, who else? Arizona. There were, a handful of states that took up the same thing. Yeah,
Yep,
let's have some
absolutely.
fake electors. Yeah, so
it's
nice to know that it originated here.
Yeah, I know. Well, a lot did, by the way. Scott Walker brought in a lot of this stuff that we're seeing in the Trump administration, in the past, and what could happen. And of course, Scott Walker's out there tweeting all the time now, Xing all the time in regards to all of these issues. We'll get to something he brought up just recently, but I got to say that in the last couple of days, my wife has been gone, has taken the 8-month-old puppy border collie that we have, and it's really quiet around the house,
Yeah.
And this is my complaint. Every time she goes, my two guys, my Gen Zers here,
Your sons.
order out. They constantly order out.
Really?
Fast food restaurants are
That's it, huh?
feeding them, and I think this is where they're going. They're not going to cook. They're not going to experience what it's like working in a kitchen. You worked in a kitchen, right?
I worked in a kitchen for a short time at a drive-in theater of all places. You talk about a concession stand with a grill, making greasy hamburgers for people that drive in. The safety standards there were very questionable. I wouldn't have eaten any of that food that we were making. Yeah, I did. It was that was a drive-in theater outside of Chicago. Yeah,
Amazing stuff.
Wheaton, Warrenville area. Yeah,
and I didn't even know that. And we had a movie show, the Big Sky Theater on Channel 47 late at night, playing the worst movies possible.
Right.
And we pretended like we were at a drive-in theater, and I didn't know you worked at a drive-in theater.
I know. And we had that show for a while. It was late night on the weekends, and it was a lot of fun to show those old movies. And because Channel 47 is built where the old Big Sky Theater used to be.
That's why we did it.
Back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And
that's
why we did it.
We were the guys, passing out the food at the counter and making sure that the plastic forks didn't run out. And we had guests in there. I remember we had a guy who was running for the legislature, and he stopped by, and he had a suitcase full of money.
Yeah. We had Stu Hoffensberger, who was our sports director. Yeah, John Russo's. That's right. All those guys. Anyway, so did you work fast food at all, John?
I did. Yeah, I used to work at a Big Boy restaurant. I was a Big Boy cook.
Big Boy.
So,
how about, hey, Sam, are you on the line here? Sam, our producer. Did you work any fast food or any kitchens?
I worked in the kitchen of a bowling alley. That was my first job when I was 15.
No kidding.
And now you kind of caught on. Now you cook at home because you just love the idea of cooking, right? It's a great outlet for you.
Well, I mean, cooking at a fast food place is nothing like actual food cooking. I got really good at making pizza and nachos.
Really?
There you go.
Have on my resume.
That's a good talent. Yeah.
Now, Sam, I understand you found a story about a fast food worker that.
That's right. Doug texted in this story. I heard about it a couple days before, but I never thought to mention it to you guys. A woman in Ohio was at a Chipotle, and she apparently was unhappy with her order, so she threw it at a fast food worker, and she got an interesting sentence once she was arrested. So this is from WKYC Channel 3 in Gordy. Did you look?
It's in Cleveland, Ohio. The Mistake on the Lake.
All right,
let's hear it.
What it's all about.
Okay.
Okay, so really listen to this story because we have thoughts and you might too. The woman who admitted to throwing her Chipotle order at an employee in Parma will be getting a lesson in customer service herself.
Look at that. 39-year-old Rosemary Hain was originally sentenced to 6 months in jail after this video surfaced. She was upset with her order and threw it in the face of 17-year-old Emily Russell, but now the judge offered to give her 3 months in jail and work in a fast food restaurant for 20 hours a week for the remaining 3 months. We spoke to Emily today.
She hit me. Like, I've never had a customer. I've got drinks thrown at me, you know, I got food thrown at me, but like I've always had that window. So it never was like a problem in the drive-thru, but having that come in and just, you know, her hitting me with the 200-degree food, it was really tough.
Emily just wants to thank everybody for their support. She's now working at a different restaurant. She thinks the sentence is fair and just wants her to experience what it's really like working in customer service.
Yeah,
customer service. Yeah,
it's sweet. It's sweet.
Well, don't do that. It's crazy. Don't do that, people. Be kind. Be nice to your fast food workers. That's just over the top.
It's a very tough job.
Well, and they caught the person that did it, and her sentence, I mean, so her punishment is to become a fast food worker for a couple of months. How ironic.
I love it. Yeah. But of course now, you know, you can order and have it delivered like my son. So yeah, I'm complaining. And, you know, every time my wife goes away, it becomes, you know, $100 bill. You know, just they love to spend money on this, you know, sushi ordered out.
Well, don't they cook for themselves every once in a while? How about you? I mean, you know your way around the kitchen. You can make some food for them. They just don't want that, huh? They want to live it up.
I do that, but it's like, they want to live it up when she's gone. We always have you know, this, that, and the other thing. Now they want variety, so they just order out, and it's not variety, really. You know, it's always Culver's or Burger King. You know, they're incredibly expensive hamburger over there. It's like
the
$14 for this hamburger at Burger King. It blows my mind.
Yeah, the prices are a little crazy, and the drink prices, that's where they really get you. If you order drinks, you know, those are way too expensive. Well, I hope you make it through the weekend.
I'm putting my foot down.
Are you?
I'm making something tonight. That's
all
it,
right.
You know?
Yeah, serve notice. Let them know. Yeah.
Although Ann is coming back today, so
so she does all
something.
She does all the cooking, huh?
Well, yeah, you know how I scramble to come up with material for this program. So
right.
She's doing a lot of the cooking. I admit that.
Well, that's good. All right. Yeah.
But
Sam, thank you for that story. You know, Cleveland, back to that just for a moment. You guys ever been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland? I was asking you during yeah, it's really, really something. I mean, I highly recommend it if you're into a rock or rock and roll or blues. It's a terrific place to visit. And by the way, I want to mention we have a great music show here on the weekends on Civic Media, the Max Inc. show with Rocker. They have local bands, a lot of regional bands on Saturday nights and also Sunday nights. They do some music mixed in with some interviews. Really great show. So tune in to Rocker in the Lair at the Max Inc. show. Saturdays and
we'll definitely
Sundays.
have to talk to them because, you know, I checked it out and I'm wondering where they came up with a lot of the music. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Great stuff. I mean, if a lot of that stuff is local and, you know, from local musicians, fantastic stuff. I'm missing out on it.
Well, Rocker has been involved in the Madison music scene for a long, long time, and he's got connections with a lot of the musicians, not only in Madison, but all over southern Wisconsin. So and he's been doing that show a long time. And so he's got all the connections to make it happen every weekend here.
Yeah. I came across this, and this is really a great ad, because of the elections are coming up, and Democrats, I think, are feeling their oats. They're actually coming out. They're becoming more of an offense party. They're really not on the defense anymore. They really go on out there and they're attacking their opponents, and well, they should. There's a lot to attack when you're talking about megas and the current gerrymandered politicians that are in most capitals at this point.
Right.
But this is a person just one of the most fantastic ads I've ever heard out in North Dakota.
Okay.
I found this on X, and this is the single most amazing political ad as I've ever seen, and I'm a media historian, the guy who posted this. I've seen them all. And this is a candidate, Katrina Christensen, and you won't believe this. This is just great stuff. It's a little long, 2.5 minutes, but do we have time?
I don't know if well, no, actually we don't. You know what, where we can do it right. We just have a 1-minute break coming up here in just about a minute.
All right, we'll do it right after that. All right?
Yeah. We do have a story also coming up of Scott Walker comparing tattoos to sex change operations. Have you heard about this, John? You got this story, right?
Yeah.
Well, how is that connected? I don't quite understand where he's going with that.
Well, maybe we can cover that quickly here. Do we have we have 1 minute?
Yeah, I got just over a minute or so.
Okay. Reminder, all 50 states have laws requiring a person receiving a tattoo be at least 18 years old. Minors cannot give consent for something that is so significantly alters their body. And the same is true for sex change surgery. That's what Scott Walker wrote in a tweet. But you have to remember now that you can't just walk into a doctor's office and say, hey, I want to change my gender. There's a process, a long process. You have to confirm dysphoria and the need for taking chemicals for that. Aside from that, there are always people who will always have regrets about gastrointestinal surgery, rhinoplasty, implants, tattoos, vasectomies, whatever. So everybody has regrets. It's not just the only thing getting a sex change.
Oh, well.
We ran just a little over there.
Did I not make it in, or?
No. Not
last few words.
Faded you guys down.
Okay, good.
That's good. All right, now we'll come back with that ad. We got plenty of time.
All right, let me get that up here. God, I can't start it.
When I was a little girl, a wolf. When I was a little girl.
Okay.
Yeah, I cut, like musical passages out, but it's like 2.5 minutes, and it is it just kicks. It really.
Glad you mentioned the time on it, because we were right at 2.5 minutes when you said that. We were like, oh God, we were actually a little beyond that. So,
yeah.
I was hoping it was 30 seconds. So.
Well, most of them are.
Well, sure.
So this is probably an online ad, something like that. Oh, yeah. Mad Radio, WMDX, 92.7 FM and 1580 AM, Madison, Wisconsin. Tell us what you think. Text us. Give us a call. Our number is 608-879-TALK or 879-8255. Now let's get to that story. Fantastic ad by a Democrat out in North Dakota.
North Dakota.
It is Katrina Christensen, and it's about 2.5 minutes long, but I think you'll like this a lot. This is the template.
When I was a little girl, a wolf hunted our family farm. It wasn't content to pick off a chicken or the family dog. It wanted the whole farm. My father found work, but the wolves found him. My parents always thought they'd catch a break, but they never did. The wolves came for mom and pop stores. They came for cheap prescription medicine. They came for affordable homes. They came for college loans. Forget inflation. Wages never kept up with corporate greed. So I went to school and scholarship. I became an agricultural engineer, fell in love, found a great job, started a family, had 3 kids, and invented 2 patents for Cargill, and made them a killing. When the wolves came to reorganize the company, they found me too. Their first solution every time, cut jobs. Because to them, we're the problem. It's not their risky behaviors. It's not their bad investments. It's our livelihoods, our healthcare, our mortgages, our working class dreams. I'm Katrina Christensen. I'm running for U.S. Senate because Congress hasn't passed meaningful antitrust, pro-family legislation in almost 100 years. They abandoned family farms. They abandoned American manufacturing. They turned healthcare into a $1 trillion industry. And they let Amazon and Walmart hunt family businesses to extinction. Wolves. And Congress hasn't culled the pack since Teddy Roosevelt was president. I'm an engineer, and I can tell you, problems like we're facing don't fix themselves. We gotta be tougher and smarter and more stubborn than the forces that are bankrupting the American middle class. My kids have no concept of the poverty I grew up with, the insecurity and shame. And as long as they're under my roof, they won't. And our senator should feel that way about us. Should be protective of each of our children, our rights, our health, our land and water, our safety, our national security. Our senators shouldn't be afraid to face the wolves.
Nice, huh?
Wow.
I know. I'm tearing up, you know?
That's running for U.S. Senate, Katrina Christensen, right?
Right. Out in North Dakota.
That is something.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are viewing that ad. It is just it really hits home. It really describes basically what Republicans are most against, and that is spending money. Spending money on us. It's our money. We sent it to Washington. We sent it to our states, and we expect something from that. And Republicans seem to have kind of turned it on its head by saying, well, we can't spend money. That's just, frivolous, and we want to give your money back to you in tax cuts. Well, that doesn't make any sense. We sent the money to the state, to the federal government in order to help us make life better for us. So, and that is what that whole ad is about, basically, and making life better for everyone and not having our kids experience the kind of trauma that some of us have gone through growing up ourselves in the last 50 years.
Yeah, it's really an amazing ad, and you said that ran 2.5 minutes. It was really quite the story.
It was.
It took a lot of production.
Certainly made a point. We have the gerrymandered Republicans in our state legislature, and over time here, a lot of things have been forgotten. A lot of things they tried to put in effect. I found one on my blog the other day. I ran across it, and I thought I'd just pass this along to you. Yeah. Yesterday's declaration by a Dane County judge that Wisconsin's 1849 law banning abortion suddenly no longer means what it says appears to be another judicial attempt to take over the legislature's constitutional authority for writing state law. That is a comment from Senator Chris Kapenga, and he's on a rant on this. I don't know where he has been, but the Supreme Courts of our state and the federal government actually take these laws that are passed in legislatures and in Congress and determine whether they are constitutional or not. And I don't know why he's thinking that this is what he said. Whatever your personal view on abortion, overriding the separation of powers between Wisconsin's legislative and judicial branches is a dangerous threat to our state. That's what happens. That's why the court's there. Who is this guy, right? Chris Kapanga, get with it, man. I mean, that's what the court's there for. They constantly do this. They bring cases before the Supreme Court in our state all the time based on the laws that we have, right? They did it with the law from 1849. And he said, oh, well, you can't do that because that's just, it's infringing on the legislature's powers. He also writes, the massive outside funding that politicized this year's Supreme Court election was an attack on Wisconsin's Constitution. There is so much outside spending for the Republicans and for their candidates for the Supreme Court that it is ridiculous. And for him to say that is so hypocritical, it is stunning, jaw-dropping, to say the least. So it's just so wrong. And this guy comes out with a bold statement like that, acting like, he's just Mr. Innocent, right? Oh, well, the legislature can pass anything it wants. It shouldn't have a court look at those laws and say whether they're constitutional or not. That's infringing on our power. These guys are truly power hungry. This gerrymandered Republican legislature.
Yeah, and that's what it's come to. And your vote counts. I mean, we're in another election cycle here, and no matter which side of the aisle you're on, you just got to be aware of who's doing what and how it affects you personally and your family, and keep on this. And that's what we're trying to do.
Right, exactly. Now, in the past, this is something, this happened, by the way, on January 15th, 2018. Another Republican in the state legislature had a bill that aimed to standardize employment laws across Wisconsin. They want to take that local control away. It would prohibit local municipalities from establishing and enforcing their own employment discrimination laws. Believe this or not, this is it. The protected classes that would be eliminated by the gerrymandered Republicans in our state legislature would include, these are the classes that they would eliminate for protection: gender identity, non-religion, homelessness, sources of income, lack of a social security number, physical appearance, I love this, political beliefs, student status, domestic partnership, unemployment status, and credit history.
The list goes on and on. 29 past the hour. We've got news right around the corner. We'll be back with more of John and Gordy after this.
We'll be right back to the action right after this message.
It's the John and Gordy Show.
Hey, Sam?
Yeah.
Is John's signal breaking up, or is it on my end? His signal is fluttering.
He's been clear the whole time for me.
Has it? Okay. Well, I'm going to refresh my StreamYard while we've got a few minutes here, so I'm just going to get out and get in.
Okay.
That seemed to clear things up. Yeah, I'm getting, my signal is not breaking up as far as my video, but I'm hearing him it's breaking up on video for me. His side is starting, stopping. So I'm going to refresh here real quick.
Yeah, that's weird.
Back?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I am hearing a little bit of echo way in the background. I don't know if somebody's got their headphones super loud or
your voice.
1, 2. I'm hearing it on my end.
Check 1, 2.
I'm not hearing it from either of you now, which is weird.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I'm going to check my mix minus, make sure it's on. Processing. Yeah, it's on.
It hasn't been really noticeable.
It sounds like somebody's headphone way in the background, but
yeah,
I don't know. All right. I was expecting Rocker would maybe call if you're listening on. Oh, did
he asked me want me to promo Max Inc. Radio?
Follow up on something.
8 a.m. So I'm guessing he's going to call soonish.
Okay. Well, just let us know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to. I'm going to mention Pete Davidson being in town.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody's had any Pete Davidson sightings in Madison, did he go out after the show last night on State Street anywhere? If they saw the show or if they're going to the show tonight, we'll see if anybody's out there that went or is going.
Should we do the rail story?
Sure. Did we did the tattoo, the Scott Walker tattoo thing, did we? Or didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of rushed through it.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if there's any more on that. But yeah, the train story's good. And I've got an entertainment lineup of other stuff happening in just like 4 or 5 items that I can breeze through real quickly, or if Rocker calls, I could do it in the same segment or something.
Yeah. I'm having thoughts here. So,
is your signal okay on your end, John?
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm getting a little echo. I don't know why, but it's
and again,
it's not distracting. But
I'm gonna do something here. Let's see.
Got 40 seconds or so.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Plywood in the Pines Apartments, the exciting new all-adult apartment complex for single persons who have no children, pets, or felony convictions within the past 30 days.
Mad Radio, 92.7 FM and 1580 AM, Madison, and online. A number of social media sources, of course. You can watch us while you're driving and Bluetooth it through your car radio.
There you
go. Tammy Baldwin is again running for re-election in the Senate, and she's getting or starting to get some challengers. Eric Hovde is one. But she has really pushed hard to get rail systems up and running in this state. And a proposed Milwaukee to Madison to Minneapolis Amtrak route is one of 5 in Wisconsin, getting $500,000 federal planning grants. These are planning grants. They're not going to exactly lay down rails, but they want to kind of plan it and see what they can do, and then look at the cost of doing that. So, but it's wonderful to think that there would be something from Milwaukee to Madison to Minneapolis.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah.
Yeah. Just hop on a train, rent a car when you get there, and you're good.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But when you think back on the history of rail in this state, and we're going back to the Walker administration, think of how much progress and development would have been added to the state tax base if Scott Walker would not have stopped the huge investment in rail in this state. High-speed rail, by the way, and wasting money is no problem for them in regards to this, because Walker, when he was running for governor the very first time, he played off the Republican voters' hatred for high-speed rail. They just, they came out against it right away. Irrationally, there wasn't any particular reason for it, but they just didn't want to have to deal with it. And they all called it a boondoggle. So Scott Walker rode that train into the state capitol, basically, and turned down $810 million in federal money to put high-speed rail in. And that would have created high-speed rail basically to Madison as well. Not super high speed, don't get the wrong idea. But again, Milwaukee to Chicago, that would have been a fantastic area to put the high-speed rail in. In fact, Kenosha and Racine, they were making huge plans along that rail corridor, putting businesses in and industrial parks and stores and restaurants. They had big plans for that region, a big regional thing. But anyway, the fact is Wisconsin taxpayers could wind up paying more to keep the existing passenger rail system, this was a study back then, from Milwaukee to Chicago, than they would have to pay just for the high-speed rail to be put in the first place. So it would have cost more just to keep the tracks the same instead of putting in the high-speed rail. And that's why he still turned down $810 million. And then, on top of that, this went to Minnesota, basically. Minnesota GOP legislators halted a Minnesota-Wisconsin high-speed rail study. The critics objected to the Minnesota Department of Transportation accepting federal grant money to complete the study, largely because Wisconsin opposed high-speed rail. Work on the study was stopped after just over $1 million in state and federal money were already spent in Minnesota. And then a report entitled The Economic Impacts of High-Speed Rail Transforming the Midwest showed that expanding passenger train service in Wisconsin and the Midwest can create 103,000 jobs and $13.8 billion of economic activity in this region. So all of that had just put to us a stop because of the word boondoggle. The voters loved that, and Scott Walker capitalized on that, and he became governor because of that one big issue, stopping the boondoggle of high-speed rail in this state. And just to give you a really good idea how irresponsible our gerrymandered Republicans are, this is Scott Fitzgerald, and he's being interviewed in regards to turning down, or have already spent $300 million and giving it up just so they could turn down this boondoggle. It's just playing up to the voters. $300 million, no big deal. Taxpayers won't even know it.
Follow up on something you said. Some dollars may be wasted. Transportation Secretary Frank Busalaki just said as much as $300 million may have been spent on this project by the end of the year. So you're saying that it would still be okay to walk away from that $300 million or whatever jobs that have gone to architects, engineers, building contractors, that sort of thing. You think in the long run it's better just to pull the plug?
I just want to mention here, too, this is before Scott Walker was the governor. All right.
I would hope that the governor, you have a lame duck governor, and unfortunately cabinet members that are pushing as hard and as fast as they can, along with the Secretary of Transportation, Ray LaHood, who was in my district in Watertown just a couple weeks ago, saying that this is something that is going to happen, get used to it. No, I think it is something that has to be examined. If we have to pull the plug, it certainly is something that, once again, would demonstrate how wasteful some of these stimulus dollars are.
How wasteful the stimulus dollars are, but he's going to waste $300 million, which they did, by the way.
But unfortunately, I think what we have is just a disastrous governmental operation, and now which is pitting Wisconsin communities against each other, that could turn into a major boondoggle, and all done with with the controls under a lame duck governor. It's really a bizarre situation we find ourselves in.
Real briefly, Secretary Boussouaki said this very partisan nature surrounding this issue is not the case in places like Florida and California, where you're talking about high-speed rail, and you have Republican governors. He said it's not partisan in other states. Why do you think it's partisan here?
Oh, I think if you look at some of the other states, and I have, that believe that rail would work, the numbers simply are much different than what we see in Wisconsin.
Oh, sure. 103,000 jobs and $13.8 billion of economic activity if we did put that high-speed rail system in. Turning communities against each other, basically, is what he's talking about, is that the communities wanted to put little stores in and stops along the way for high-speed rail, and they were competing where those stops would be. So that's the horror of those communities competing against each other. And that happened, along the rail corridor between Chicago and Milwaukee as well. I mean, people had big plans for this. This was huge.
And this was back in July of 2011, right? That's where this all was quite a while. Think of how different things would have been if that had gone through, if they'd actually built the high-speed rail. A boondoggle, by the way, if you're wondering about the actual definition, a project, because we've used that word about a dozen times here, a project that's considered a waste of money and time can also be defined as a useless or profitless activity, because they didn't do it. It turned into a boondoggle.
Right,
if
and
they had gone ahead, it would have been great.
They manufactured trains. And they broke that contract, and they ended up paying, I think it was $300 million just to pay off the trains that they had built, but weren't going to use.
Yes. Oh, wow.
And by the way, they were manufacturing the trains in Milwaukee. So that is another loss of jobs that took place. This was just a total disaster by the Republicans, just to make a point, just to, keep repeating the name boondoggle forever. And we would have been much further ahead. Not only that, but Walker always made a point of saying, well, if we put this in, we would have our $8 or $9 or $10 million in track maintenance every year, and that's going to have to be a responsibility of the state. Can you imagine $8 million in the state? I mean, they had $8.
Oh my gosh.
Then what do they have? $8 billion in surplus. So, we're just looking at these small costs. And by the way, that $8 million of track maintenance was actually, most of it was going to be covered by the federal government anyway. So he was lying about that. It truly is an amazing loss for this state. And we'll never really know, where we would be today if we had that.
Well, that's it. And, it does make you wonder about, we've been talking about high-speed rail now for 20 years. It's popular all over the world, in Europe, in Japan. And you would think we'd be on the leading edge of this kind of technology to bring our trains up to speed, literally, and connect these cities in a way that they've never been connected before, where you could jump on a train, get to Milwaukee in no time, or Minneapolis or Chicago here in the Midwest. Right. It would be a wonderful thing if this had gone through, and it's, hopefully we'll still maybe get it someday, but it seems like we're stuck in time here.
Well, not only that would we have the high-speed rail, but we'd also probably have put more local mass transit in.
Well, yeah.
We have a transit. We have a rail system that goes straight through Madison. Made for it. So we would have rail in this town, so people can get from one side to the next. But people soured on the idea of rail altogether because of Scott Walker.
7:45 and temperatures in the mid-40s this morning. It's really nice outside. The sun is out. We're going to see highs in the mid-50s today. I want to mention last night Pete Davidson was in town, the SNL comic. Wondering if anybody ran into him on the street, maybe before or after the show. I think he had a couple of shows, yesterday, and he's got another show or two tonight at the Orpheum. And so if you went to the show yesterday or last night, or if you're going to the show tonight, you can give us a call, 608-879-8255. Or maybe if, a lot of the entertainers that come to town at the Orpheum or some of the other theaters downtown tend to go out after the show. I would imagine Pete Davidson, knowing who he apparently is as a comic and SNL comedian, probably went out somewhere last night, was out and about around town. So if you spotted him, maybe let us know. He's going to be there tonight again, 2 shows, I believe. And now also tonight, Liz Phair, great musician. She had that big album, her debut album, Exile in Guyville. She's at the Sylvie tonight, and that show is at 8 o'clock. Tickets, I believe, still available for that. And then if you're looking for something for Christmas time, Sunday, Nutcrackin', the holiday classic with a circus twist, using parts of Tchaikovsky's score, bringing it into the circus world. That could be something interesting. Sun Prairie West Performing Arts Center. That's happening Sunday evening.
That is fascinating.
Nutcrackin'.
Wow. With a circus twist.
A holiday classic with a circus twist. So I love it when they do stuff like that. And then Sunday, John, you and I have some connection with this in our deep past. Sunday, there is a broadcast birthday bash for our broadcast brethren over at Wart Radio. They're actually having this birthday bash at Burr Oak on Winnebago Street in Madison. They're celebrating 40 years. 48 years since WORT Community Radio first went on the air, and they're having music there. Samba Novista is playing Brazilian style music.
How many years?
48 years.
48 years.
WORT Community Radio's been on the air in Madison.
I could swear Rockin' John was there for at least 55. So
Rockin' John,
he was there. Yeah.
He's still rocking.
He is incredible, really.
I have a friend, Greg Taylor. I knew him back in high school. He does a Sunday night show he's been doing for years, and it plays all kinds of just very spacey, experimental music for a couple of hours on Sunday nights at WORT. It's really bizarre, abstract. Some of it's just, crazy.
Very 60s stuff, because in the 60s we were listening to that experimental electronic type music.
That's right.
It's crazy.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a 60-second break. We'll be back with more of John and Gordy after this. Hey, guys, my signal from John is still breaking up over here, so I'm going to get out completely in the 60-second break out of StreamYard and get right back in. See if that clears it up.
We're not getting any complaints from anybody in regards to that.
I think it's just on my end on the return somehow. It's only on.
Is here on the line now.
Okay.
right.
Well, maybe I'll just refresh. And if I appear not to be responding.
Well, it's only a short break, so do not do anything. Uh-oh. I think he did. Yeah. Mad Radio WMDX. John Peterson in Middleton, Wisconsin.
Gordy Young broadcasting from Baraboo, from the bluffs of Baraboo.
And broadcasting from our downtown location in Madison. So, all right, we've got a guest.
Somebody. Yes, we do. Rocker is on the phone this morning. Rocker hosts the Max Inc. show on Saturday nights and Sundays. And Rocker, welcome to John and Gordy show. Good morning.
What's happening, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I was checking it out the other day, and I'm wondering where you get all this music. Where are you getting this stuff?
Well, I published Maximum Ink Music Magazine in the state of Wisconsin here for 27 years, and for 12 years we've been doing the radio. So, we do have a few connections, like you said, but we reach out to artists across the state when we can, and we do a lot of research and ask them to send us their music to music@civicmedia.us, and then we check it out and we play it. And we also interview a lot of these artists every Saturday night. 6 to 9 p.m. is music and interviews. But then the specialty that you had mentioned is Live in the Lair. And that's a live performance and interview. That's an hour that we spend with a particular artist. And so I thought I'd share with you some of the great things that are going to be happening in Live in the Lair.
Please.
This is actually tomorrow night, the 9th of December. We're having the Elizabeth Mary Band. So we bring a whole band in the studio. Now, Elizabeth Mary is originally from Iowa, but she has a great story because she moved to Madison. And she even wrote a song called Moving to Madison. And she recorded her album here with Paul Schluter, who is kind of a legendary guitarist here in Madison, owns Megatone Studios, also a guitarist of Last Crack, Foo Foo Dolls, and a variety of other bands. Well, they kind of fell in love. They got married, and now they've, basically got this family band. We're going to have them on tomorrow night, 9 p.m., on the 9th of December, live in the studio. So every Saturday night, we put on a live concert at 9 p.m. With a live band. Now, coming up, we have some incredible artists. Katie Powderly and Kelsey Miles are going to be back-to-back Live in the Lair for Christmas on the 23rd of December, Live in the Lair. Then we have Blame It on Kane on the 13th of January, a Milwaukee band, and the Almas on the 20th of January. Amazing band. They just won the Rock Band of the Year for the Nashville Awards, the Josie Awards. So we're going to have them live in the studio. We have tons of crazy stuff, too, like the UW Mad Hatters are going to be in February. They're an all-male a cappella band from UW.
Yeah.
Kaylin Cole, another great artist. Diana Jones Band from Milwaukee. I mean, we have them all. A lot of great stuff. Every Saturday night, you're going to hear a band completely live right here in Madison's WMDX studios. And we broadcast statewide, too, so that's pretty cool.
Your show is a real gem. Just hearing, Wisconsin music, it's something that really should be encouraged. And, just discovering your program was just a gold mine, and some of the great talent that we have in the state completely unaware of. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, and, we had local bands in Milwaukee. Regionally, we had the bands, and they were just fantastic groups. I mean, really, really great sounding groups. And they kind of disappeared. They're not online. No one's playing their music anymore, except for maybe, on Wart with Rock and John. He has special guests for, the local Wisconsin scene. But, that kind of stuff kind of faded away, and you're keeping it alive here on this program by playing the current groups and, solo artists in this state. And it's just, it is really fantastic stuff.
Yeah, really great. And Rocker...
I'll tell you, too.
Yeah, go ahead.
We also do play a whole lot of throwback music. So one thing that I really believe in that you touched on was that we play this old music from bands that are long since basically deceased or inactive, if you will, and we bring it kind of back to life. Like on normal commercial radio, you hear the hits, and of course Led Zeppelin you're going to still hear for years, right? Even after they're done. Yeah. But a local band just sort of vanishes, like you said. And we actually even tell people, hey, your old band, we want your old band's music too, because we want to play that as well. We do lots of throwbacks and tons of current stuff as well. But I think that also one of the amazing things about Max Inc. Radio is that unlike other radio, I think that pretty much on the most part, if you turn it on, you're always going to hear
music that you've never heard before.
Yep.
Because, each person maybe only knows like a handful of local bands or,
Right.
knows their music, unlike the large bands on regular radio. So literally every show you listen to is like, wow, that I've never heard that before. And it's all great music. Wisconsin is filled with just amazing artists.
Hey, Rocker, we only have about a minute left here, but I want to mention also that you do Sunday night. This replays some of your music plays on Sundays, correct? Is that right? Or do I have that wrong?
The show does repeat on Sunday night from 6 p.m. to midnight. And, I would say look in the future, coming up soon, we're going to be changing up some of our programming and adding more original content.
Okay. And we, John and I used to do a cable access show where we would have some bands on. We had like the Obros, I'm sure you probably remember, and Marcus Bovary and the Evil Twins. John helped me out here. We had some others on, that Tuesday night show.
We had a few, but, the Marcus Bovary thing was, a great slice of local music on video finally, because there wasn't that much on Marcus Bovary. This is one of the only existing videos of the band performing at that time. So it's really a classic piece of video.
And we still have that, yeah.
Classic Marcus Bovary.
We'll have to pass that along to you, Rocker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, Rocker, thanks for jumping in and telling us what's happening on the shows this weekend. And we want to keep in touch with you, all right?
That's awesome. Well, you guys got to come on our show, so let's set up a time.
Love to do that. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Rocker.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Take care.
Have a great weekend. Yeah. That's the Rocker.
I know. I started listening to it.
Max
and I kept
Inc.
listening and listening to the podcast. Just fantastic stuff. Incredible music. And I was just bowled over. I was thinking, this is local. This is state music.
Well, that's right. And he's got it. And you can catch that on our Civic Media app. You can catch previous shows of Max Inc. Saturdays and Sundays here on WMDX Radio.
Are they singing us out already? They're singing us out.
We got to put a cork in it for today and for this week. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back Monday morning. So long.
Goodbye now. Station.
Just stay tuned to the station for weekend outdoor information.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. So long.